Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in good spirits wherever you are in the world. And continuing with our discussion of the recent releases made by the Criterion Collection during this year, 2020, please allow me, if I may, to share with you some thoughts that I have with respect to this particular set. This is a Blu-ray set, and this had been included in the Criterion Collection as a DVD set, but that DVD set fell out of print. Well, now this set returns to the Criterion Collection in a very glorious new Blu-ray set. This set is given SPY number 342. And the name of the set is Eric Rohmer's 6 Moral Tales. So this is the set, Eric Rohmer's 6 Moral Tales, and it includes within the set 6 films, the moral tales in question. And those are The Bakery Girl of Monceau, or La Boulangère de Monceau, and Suzanne's Career, or La Carrière de Suzanne, and then My Night at Maud's, or Ma Nuit chez Maud, and then La Collectionneuse, and then Claire's Knee, or Le Genou de Claire, and last but not least, Love in the Afternoon, or L'amour l'après-midi. So we have these 6 films, and as I say, they are all included in this particular Blu-ray set, again at SPY number 342. And before we get into the films themselves, I'd like to just let you know that this new Blu-ray set is sort of upgrade from the earlier DVD set, which is right here. This DVD set was a really great addition in the Criterion Collection, and for many reasons. Of course, it had the 6 films, it had the essay, it had the book as well, the writings of the 6 Moral Tales, and I'll get to that in a second as well. And it had a bunch of special features. And it also had the Criterion logo here, so this was the emergence of this now standard Criterion logo, but at the time of this release it was a new, fresh logo. So there was a lot going for this, of course, for many reasons. But then, unfortunately, it had fallen out of print. So many people were wondering over the course of a number of years, would this ever return? Well, now this year, Criterion has given us its answer. It has returned in this new Blu-ray set. Now, the films are the same in terms of what's included, so there's nothing different about that. The presentations are slightly different. Just to let you know, the DVD set is new restored high-definition digital transfers supervised and approved by director Eric Rohmer, and the films were all in a 1.33:1 aspect ratio, whereas in the new Blu-ray set, what we have is the films presented in a 1.37:1 aspect ratio, and these are new 2K digital restorations from a couple years ago. And so for the most part, the picture quality seems to be more or less the same. There are some subtle differences, I would say, in terms of some of the, maybe the graininess and some of the parts of the earlier black and white films of this 6 Moral Tales sequence of films. There might be some slight differences in terms of color, but for the most part, I think the Blu-ray set, in terms of the presentation of these new 2K digital restorations, I think is really quite splendid, and so you're getting a really nice presentation. I should just point out, though, just for the sake of pointing it out, that this new Blu-ray set comes after the passing of the director Eric Rohmer, and so we don't get on the back of the new Blu-ray any indication, of course, that these transfers or these restorations were in any way approved by Eric Rohmer, whereas on the back of the earlier DVD, with respect to the earlier DVD presentations, it does say supervised and approved by Eric Rohmer. Now, I don't want to suggest that the new Blu-ray is in any way immediately inferior than the earlier DVD set. I don't want to suggest that at all. It's up to those who have both sets to try to make a comparative analysis. But based off of my own understanding, this new Blu-ray set is quite good, and you are getting, generally speaking, you are getting what could arguably be and reasonably deemed to be a very high quality image that is comparable, or some might say an improvement over the DVD. But in any event, my friends, just know that little detail about how these presentations are described by Criterion in terms of the DVD presentation from before and now the current Blu-ray. And of course, we should again keep in mind that this DVD set is out of print, and so the only way one would be able to get it is through used transactions. And so if that's worth it to you or not, again, it's up to you. But for anyone who wants the current Blu-ray set, this is a really solid presentation. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of picture quality issues or anything like that, as far as I can tell. So you are getting a stellar presentation with this Blu-ray set, in my opinion. Now, as for the box itself, let me just let you know that the set itself is really quite interestingly arranged. So it comes in this case, as you can see right here. And then once we take the contents out of the case, we notice a couple things. First of all, we notice that there is some interesting picture art that is going through even the inside of the case as well. So that's very interesting. And then what we have are two components in terms of the contents, and this is the book, which I'll get to in a second. This is the housing for the discs themselves and the booklet. So it has one of these fold-out situations where the booklet goes in like so, and then the discs are all in here, right here. So it folds out into this single flap compartment casing. And so what this means, therefore, that all these films, the 6 films plus the supplements, are all spread out over 3 Blu-ray discs. And they're all housed, as I say, in this single fold-out compartment. So what that means, therefore, for collecting purposes, just to let you know, is that when we look at the spine, we see that there is no indication of any spine number except the spine number which is given to the set, which is 342. As some of you may know, the earlier DVD set had each of the films in its own little DVD compartment or casing. So that meant that you had 6 of these, and they were on DVDs, and then you had the accompanying supplemental features appearing on each of the discs. But what that meant was that you could also see that each of these DVD discs had its own spine number. So for instance, the Bakery Girl of Monceau is at spine number 343, and Suzanne's Career is at spine number 344, and so on and so forth. So unfortunately, for the Blu-ray, we don't get any of these spine number indications for any of the individual films. We only get the spine number indication for the set itself, which is 342. So there's no indication for spine numbers 343 and onwards to cover the 6 films themselves. So that's a very minor point, I think, but it would have been nice, I think, to have maybe just, I don't know, some kind of numbering. Maybe they could have done sometimes on spine numbers, they do like 3, 4, 3, 2, something like that. So they could have written out maybe a range of numbers or something like that, just to satisfy those of us who are interested in the spine numbering system of Criterion. It's one of its appeal points, in my opinion. But maybe in the long run or the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively minor point because we are dealing with the films themselves. But that's just something to keep in mind for those of us who are interested in the collecting aspect of these Criterion releases. So the spine number given to the Blu-ray is only given to the set itself, and there are no spine number designations on the back, on the outer packaging of the Blu-ray anyway, with respect to the individual films. So just keep that in mind. So just going back to the sets themselves. So we had the earlier DVD set, and for the most part, or almost exactly, the cover art seems to match that of the earlier DVD set. I mean, there's a couple differences. For instance, the top here doesn't have anything, but the top of the DVD set has this further indication, as you can see. And then there's the differences in how the discs are housed. We have 6 separate DVDs versus 3 Blu-rays, and thus that affects the spine numbering allocations, as I indicated. And then we have the book, which is the 6 Moral Tales, the written 6 Moral Tales by Eric Rohmer. And each set has its book. So what we have here is the Blu-ray version, and we have here the DVD version. So as you can see, the size is different to account for the size dimensions of the DVD set and then the Blu-ray set accordingly. The contents, though, are the same. So what you're getting is, you're getting for the new Blu-ray, you're getting, in a sense, a slightly shrunken down version of the earlier DVD set's book. I looked at it, and the print is a little bit smaller, but that's just to account for the smaller dimensions. And so just because of the larger print of the DVD version, I actually prefer to read the DVD version booklet because it's slightly bigger, just because of my own eyesight. But it's not so terrible, the new Blu-ray sized version. It's still manageable and it's still readable. So that's something to keep in mind. So the book is the same. I would actually recommend, I would take that back. I would say that for anyone who is really interested in reading the 6 Moral Tales, I can let you know that I've read through the 6 Moral Tales a number of times, this particular book, and I must say that reading the book is very, very helpful in allowing me to get a further understanding of these 6 films. However, I wouldn't say that one necessarily has to read them. One can, and actually if one is interested, I would suggest that you give it a try, but it's not absolutely essential in terms of understanding the films themselves, because the films also tend to operate in their own film language, which is sometimes parallel to how the stories are set on the literary version of them on the printed page. Sometimes they're parallel. Sometimes cinema provides slightly different modes of communication rather than the book. And so in that sense, it might be interesting to watch the films and not necessarily know what the written stories were like. But then for others, it might be an interesting exercise to read the book and then watch the films, or vice versa, watch the films and then read the book and the 6 Moral Tales separately, just to get a sense. Again, it's up to you and your own particular preferences and means of wanting to further explore these sets. But I would say that it's very good, and I would strongly recommend that if you can, read them, but it is not absolutely essential. In other words, you are still able, I think, to really appreciate and understand these films without necessarily having to read the book. That being said, this is a wonderful thing to have in the Criterion collection, and Criterion does this sometimes with the release of some of their titles. Sometimes they'll have novels, not just booklets and inside leaflets, but they'll have actually novels as well. And so it's really wonderful. This particular 6 Moral Tales by Eric Rohmer, I don't know if it's the easiest thing to get in English in a regular paperback. And so to have something like this just all set and ready with the set itself, I think is absolutely wonderful. And so again, it's not absolutely necessary, but for those who are interested, it is certainly recommended. So to take a look at the 6 Moral Tales booklet, and I'm sorry, this is the DVD sets book, but here's the newer Blu-ray set. So as you can see, the contents are the same. Now, as for the supplements that we find on the new Blu-ray release of the 6 Moral Tales, I should let you know that the supplement sections are basically taken from the earlier DVD set, and so we're getting all the supplements that we got in the earlier DVD set, so that's really great. But what are those supplements? So again, these are 6 films and there are many supplements, so all the supplements are spread out over the 3 Blu-ray discs. And to be more specific, there are 6 films, so 2 films per disc, and you go to the menu button and you can choose which film you want to watch. So you press the film that you select, and when you do that, it'll take you to a separate menu for that particular film, and then the supplements that are found grouped with that film. In other words, the supplements are spread out in a way that they are grouped with specific films in this particular sequence of the 6 Moral Tales. And so what this means is that, for instance, for the first film, The Bakery Girl of Monceau, we have 2 supplements. So we have the short film, which is called Présentation, or Charlotte and Her Steak, and this is indicated as being from 1951 but completed in 1961. And this is, as I say, a short film, and it's a very interesting, maybe thematically relevant short film in terms of relationships, in terms of intimacy and discussions. And there is also a connection made between this film and the participation of Jean-Luc Godard and Anna Karina, for those who are interested. So again, this is very interesting. So this is a short film, Présentation, or Charlotte and Her Steak. And then the second supplement, which is found with The Bakery Girl of Monceau, is Moral Tales Filmic Issues. And this is an 1 hour, 24-minute discussion from 2006 between Barbette Schroeder and Eric Romer. And it's the 2 of them talking, and it's primarily focused on Eric Romer's comments on particular subjects and particular topics. And as I say, it's 1 hour and 24 minutes, so it's like a whole film in and of itself. But it's absolutely marvelous. This discussion with Eric Romer is absolutely marvelous, and the comments that he gives are very wide-ranging, but they're all significant in terms not just of The Bakery Girl of Monceau, but the entire cycle of films themselves. And so, once again, this is probably a discussion that might be best seen after one has watched all of the 6 films in this particular cycle of Romer works. And so, but once you've seen all the 6 films, I would strongly suggest that you go immediately to watch this particular Criterion supplement, which is called Moral Tales Filmic Issues. Again, a wide range of issues, certain discussions on each of the films, how the writings translated into the films themselves, what were the circumstances of the particular shooting, why were some of them in black and white, why were others in color, what is the significance of the fact that La Collectionneuse is the 4th film in the cycle, and yet it was made prior to My Night at Maud's, which is the 3rd film in the cycle. So the 3rd film in the cycle and the 4th film in the cycle were actually made the 3rd film of the cycle was made after the 4th film in the cycle. And so what was the reason for that? He'll give you explanations as to that. He'll also talk about the importance of the aspect ratio, and in fact here he makes specific reference to DVD and also to the aspect ratio that he relied upon for these films, other topics as well. So this is a very strongly recommended supplement for those who are interested. So this is going to be for the first film, included with the first film, The Bakery Girl of Monceau, so Moral Tales and Filmic Issues. And then for the supplements for the second film, which is Suzanne's Career, we have the short film, which is called Nadia in Paris, or Nadia in Paris, from 1964. And this is significant for a number of reasons. This is also a kind of again, a short film focusing on a particular character and a particular the character's interactions with an environment, the city. This is Paris. And also the participation of Nestor Almendros as the camera operator, the cameraman. And so this is also very interesting as well, because as you know, Eric Romer and Nestor Almendros will have a professional relationship that will have a great effect on many of these films in this cycle. And so it's very interesting to note his participation here with this film, this short film from 1964, again, Nadia in Paris, which is a supplement included with Suzanne's Career. And then the third film in the cycle, which is called My Night at Maud's, this disc, or this film, has included with it two supplements. So the first is from 1965, which is called En profil dans le texte, and this is about 22 minutes, and this is a program that features two intellectuals, and one of whom is a member of the clergy, and they are discussing their views on Blaise Pascal. And it's a very dense conversation. And actually, I would suggest, prior to watching this particular supplement, which is called En Pascal, if you don't know anything about Blaise Pascal, I think a lot of the stuff will be very difficult to follow, because they go into very detailed specifics, which is quite refreshing for this particular discussion. But for anyone who is not necessarily aware of Blaise Pascal, I would suggest to just maybe do some very general research, maybe online or something of that nature, to just to understand the general positions of Blaise Pascal. And once you have that comfortably under your under your control, as it were, then I would suggest going into this, because, as I say, without a kind of general or fundamental understanding of Pascal, I think a supplement like this might be pretty difficult to follow. And so just again, you can do just very general research online, or maybe you can go and do some further research on Blaise Pascal, or maybe you already know the basic approaches and philosophies of Pascal. And so whatever the case may be, my friends, this is the supplement that's included with My Night at Maud's, which is En Pascal. And then there is another episode. It's a sort of a 1974 telecinema episode, television episode. And this is this film discussion program, which is about 13 minutes. And here we have critic Jean Duché and actor Jean-Louis Trintignant, and then producer Pierre Cottrell. And these gentlemen are talking on this program about the circumstances with respect to My Night at Maud's and the certain aspects of the filming, working with Eric Romer, who is conspicuously not a part of this particular discussion. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's a very helpful and it's a great conversation to hear. So this is the telecinema episode from 1974, 13 minutes, again, with respect to My Night at Maud's. And then to round out the supplements regarding My Night at Maud's, we have the trailer, the inclusion of a 2-minute trailer. And then we have the fourth film in this cycle of films, which is called La Collectionneuse. And together with this fourth film, Criterion has put these the following supplements. So the first is a short film, which is from 1966, and this is called Modern Coed. And this is, on the one hand, it has certain thematic connections with earlier short films and other films in this particular, the feature films here. But there are also some interesting differences that make this film somewhat interesting in terms of an exploration of student life. This is the short film Modern Coed. And then we have a show, an episode of Parlons Cinema from TV Ontario. This is from 1977, and this is in connection with the film La Collectionneuse, and this is a direct conversation with the filmmaker Eric Romer. And so we have interview footage, interviews with Eric Rohmer, and this is one of them. And so this is again 50 minutes, and so he is very intensely and quite sharply speaking about certain themes of this film, certain aspects of his own filmmaking, his background and his particular approach and style, etc. And so this is a really helpful and wonderful thing to have. It's great to see and hear Rohmer speak, and he's again very intense. He's very sharp with his comments, which is absolutely wonderful. So once again, this is Parlons Cinéma, about a 50-minute TV Ontario program from 1977. And then we have a trailer for La Collectionneuse to round out the supplements with respect to this particular film. Next, with respect to the fifth film, which is Claire's Knee, the supplements that are included are first a short film from 1999, which is called La Cambrure, or The Curve. And I should be absolutely clear, this short film is not directed by Eric Rohmer. It is in fact directed by a filmmaker whose name is Edwige Chaki. So Edwige Chaki. So this is a... well, let me just explain very quickly. So if we go to the back of the DVD set for a moment, and we go to the back of the box of the DVD set, there are descriptions here with respect to what's included. On the back of the box itself for the DVD set, it says Rohmer's short films, and included in that description of short films we have the film The Curve, 1999. And so it could be reasonably interpreted based on the back of the box, the DVD set, that The Curve is a Rohmer directed film, but it's not. And to be clearer, this is the DVD single release, which is from the DVD set itself, of Claire's Knee. And on the back we have further descriptions of the supplements that are included with this DVD disc of Claire's Knee. And it says, the short film The Curve, 1999, a collaboration between Edwige Chaki and Eric Rohmer. I believe the DVD misspells the last name of the filmmaker Edwige Chaki. I think it's S-H-A-K-I, but the DVD says S-H-A-K-T-I, at least the one that I have. But anyway, the filmmaker is Edwige Chaki, and the short film is called The Curve from 1999. The DVD of Claire's Knee indicates this as being a collaboration between Edwige Chaki and Eric Rohmer. So in any event, my friends, the DVD set indicates this as being a collaboration. And when you go to the set itself and you actually go to the supplement, it's very clear that she is the filmmaker, Edwige Chaki is the filmmaker. In fact, she appears in this particular film itself. And so it's very clear that's the case. But the packaging seems to indicate a role that Eric Rohmer is playing or serving with respect to this particular short film. But with respect to that, I should point out that the Blu-ray set does something very interesting. So as you can see here, the back of the Blu-ray set has information about what's included as part of the supplements, and it says with respect to The Curve, a short film on which he advised The Curve, 1999. So it's interesting. The DVD set at one point describes him as being a collaborator, and then the Blu-ray set now describes him as being an advisor, or serving in some kind of capacity as an advisor to the film. So that's very interesting. And then if we go into the actual inner casing of the Blu-ray set, there's a further description where it says The Curve, directed by Edwige Chaki, it's again spelled correctly, S-H-A-K-I, with Rohmer as technical advisor. So Rohmer is described in the inner part of the Blu-ray set as being technical advisor. So he's no longer described as being a collaborator on this film, The Curve, but he's described as being a technical advisor, at least in the inner part of the Blu-ray set. And it's very interesting too also because when we look at the film itself, the credits of The Curve, he's also described in the credits as being a découpage. It's kind of an interesting thing what his actual role was with respect to the short film, The Curve. But in any event, my friends, the Blu-ray box seems to be making some slight adjustments or amendments to the description as it appeared on certain parts of the packaging of the earlier DVD set. So in any event, my friends, there's a little bit of clarification made with respect to this particular supplement. Let me just put it that way. So that is the short film The Curve or La Cambrure, again from 1999. The filmmaker is Edwige Chaki. And then another supplement which is found with the film Claire's Knee is Le Journal du Cinéma, and this is from December 13th, 1970. It's about 8 minutes, and this is a discussion, again another film-related discussion, this time with certain participants or stars or actors in the film Claire's Knee, and they're talking about working on the film, they're talking about their performances, they're talking about working with Rohmer and the particular style and the particular approach he has with his actors, etc. So again, this is very relevant to Claire's Knee specifically, so it's really worth checking out if you're interested. Once again, this is Le Journal du Cinéma from 1970. And then, last but not least, with respect to Claire's Knee, we have a trailer that's included with this particular film. And then with the sixth film, which is called Love in the Afternoon, we have a number of supplements. First is another short film. This is from 1958, and this is called Véronique and her Dunce. And this is about 18 minutes. So we get a number of short films throughout this set, and the last of which is included with this final film, again, Véronique and her Dunce. And then we also have an afterword by filmmaker and playwright Neil LaBute. And this is about 11 minutes. And Neil LaBute is, this is basically a Criterion produced supplement. And Criterion is essentially interviewing LaBute or just asking him his thoughts about Rohmer's works and Six Moral Tales. And he gives some very interesting comments that help to close out the series and to give sort of final notes, as it were, on the series itself. And so, on the one hand, I think it's a very interesting way to cap off a journey through the Six Moral Tales. And he makes some pretty good concluding remarks, I should say, with respect to his approach and his interpretation of the films and the morality of the films, so to speak. And then the last bit of supplemental information here is the trailer for Love in the Afternoon, which is included with that film. So there you go. So this is, in essence, what we have for the supplemental materials. I should also point out that in addition to the Six Moral Tales written by Eric Rohmer, the book, we also get the very robust booklet, which includes the essays and other technical details with respect to this Blu-ray release. So the essay booklet is a very good one. It's very robust, it's very detailed, and all the essays that we saw in the earlier DVD release are now included in this Blu-ray release booklet. So these are the essays which are, for instance, the introduction, Eric Rohmer and Six Moral Tales by Jeff Andrew, and then an essay on the Bakery Girl of Monceau and Suzanne's Career by Jeannette Vincendeux, and then My Night at Maud's essay is by Kent Jones, and then La Collectionneuse has two essays, one called Marking Time by Philippe Lopate, and then another by Nestor Almendros, which is called On La Collectionneuse. And then Claire's Knee's essay is by Molly Haskell, and then Love in the Afternoon's essay is provided by Armand White. And then there is a separate section here called Rohmer on Rohmer for a Talking Cinema. So this is the booklet here, and just to give you a sense of the booklet as it appeared in the earlier DVD. That's the booklet from the earlier DVD set, and here is the booklet for the new Blu-ray set. And as you can see, there's cover design similarities, but there's a little bit of difference in terms of the sizing, but that's understandable. And this booklet, the new Blu-ray booklet, says On Six Moral Tales, which is interesting, whereas the older DVD booklet said on the 6 moral tales. So for whatever reason, the Blu-ray booklet cover omits or deletes the word the from the booklet, but that's okay. I think that's very understandable, I think. And yes, so, and then the inside of the booklets and the pictures correspond accordingly, with some additional information given in the Blu-ray booklet to account for the 2K digital restoration details, the technical details with respect to the restoration, which of course what wouldn't be found in the earlier DVD set. So, but in any event, my friends, we have the two booklets here, which are again part of the overall package. And I should say also, as with respect to the packaging itself, there's one other issue that I just want to bring up. I pointed out that the Blu-ray set seemed to correct an error or a little typo that we saw in the earlier DVD set with respect to the name of a particular filmmaker, Edwige Chaki. So that was a good thing. However, I should point out that the Blu-ray set, at least the one I have, has something very peculiar. When we open it up like this, we can see that there are some descriptions inside given for each of the films, starting from the top here, going all the way down, and then continuing on to this side. And then we have the inside portions here to house the discs themselves. But this is the place where we would have descriptions for each of the 6 films. So that is really wonderful. So for instance, Bakery Girl at Monceau is here, and then Suzanne's Career is here, and My Night at Maud's is here, La Collectionneuse, and Claire's Knee, and then Love in the Afternoon. So that is all well and good. Just to give you a sense of what that is, we have the earlier DVD set, and then we have the DVDs that come out of the set. So for instance, Bakery Girl of Monceau has the back here and the description given on the back of this individual portion of this set, and then Suzanne's Career is the same thing. This back text more or less corresponds to the text that we will find in here in the inner flaps as far as the new Blu-ray release is concerned, with a few minor editorial differences to account, I think, for maybe some style, or maybe the amount of space that was available, physical space that was available, etc. So that's pretty interesting. So most of the changes, I think, are very minor. However, I probably should just let you know that with respect to the description for the Bakery Girl of Monceau, if you have this particular Blu-ray set, you'll notice that it goes in a way, the last line is, let's see here, but is he truly interested, or is he just a sweet, and that's it. And there's no ending punctuation, there's no period or question mark to end that particular sentence. So it just says at the very end, but is he truly interested, or is she just a sweet? And this seems a little bit odd because it doesn't seem like a full sentence. And in fact, if we go to the earlier DVD release of the Bakery Girl of Monceau, and we go to the back here, we have the description. The description is actually more or less the same. And if we look at the last sentence as found on the back of the DVD, it says here, it says at the back, the very last sentence, it says, but is he truly interested, or is she just a sweet diversion or diversion? Question mark. So in fact, the last word on the DVD description is diversion, question mark. And there is no such word diversion, question mark, here for the Blu-ray description. It just says, but is he truly interested, or is she just a sweet what? I don't know. So I think the word diversion and question mark should have been included here. There's no reason to think that it should have been omitted. Plus, the fact that there's no closing punctuation leads me to believe that this is probably just another typo on the Blu-ray set with respect to the description of the Bakery Girl of Monceau. And in fact, there should have been one extra word, diversion, plus a question mark somewhere around here. Maybe it just was left off because of spacing concerns, I'm not sure. But in any event, the last sentence for the description of the Bakery Girl of Monceau should be, but is he truly interested, or is she just a sweet diversion? So, but again, that's a very minor typo issue, and I don't think it affects the overall effect of the films themselves, at least as they're found in this particular set, Eric Romero's Six Moral Tales. And so I think that's again, nothing too much to worry about, because once again, we are getting really splendid works here, and works that I think are worth talking about and worth discussing. Again, those are the 6 films that are found here: The Bakery Girl of Monceau, Suzanne's Career, My Night at Maud's, La Collectionneuse, Claire's Knee, and Love in the Afternoon. So this is the 6 Moral Tales Blu-ray set from Criterion at spine number 342. My plan going forward is therefore to talk about each of the films separately in subsequent videos. So what I will do is, after this video is over, I will begin to now upload separate videos speaking to each of the films. So one video will be on The Bakery Girl of Monceau, then another video will be on Suzanne's Career, and so on and so forth through the end of the cycle, Love in the Afternoon. And so just to give you further comments from me about the films themselves specifically, if you're interested, please check back with this channel and check out some of those videos as soon as they're uploaded. So I hope you find it interesting. In the meantime, for now, let me just say that once again, this is the set, the Blu-ray set from Criterion, Eric Romero's 6 Moral Tales. The set is an interesting one, and there are a number of things about it that I think are very interesting in terms of the fact that we have, again, all the supplements that we found in the earlier DVD set are now back here in this new Blu-ray set. So that's really great. But there aren't any new supplements. There aren't any, for instance, there aren't any commentary tracks. There aren't any new academic discussions, any film critic discussions, anything new added to this particular set. So that is something to keep in mind. However, once again, we should also keep in mind that this was a DVD set that fell out of print, and for a while there, I think people were wondering whether it would ever come back. Well, it has come back, my friends, and so I think that alone is cause for celebration. And the fact that we are getting these films in a very good presentation in terms of the 2K digital restoration that was relied upon for this Criterion release, I think that's also really wonderful. So. And plus, for those who are interested, this is a set that is fully complete with the book itself. And as I say, while I wouldn't call it necessarily absolutely essential reading prior to watching the films, if you are interested in reading the book, The 6 Moral Tales, the written 6 Moral Tales by Eric Romero in English, then this is a great place to go. And just from my own personal experience, having read the 6 Moral Tales in English with the earlier DVD set, I can say that it is a very enlightening set of stories to read. So that's also good that we have that book again here for this new Blu-ray set. So that is really wonderful news. So once again, we are getting this set. It's returning to the Criterion collection, and we are getting it more or less intact as we saw it in the earlier DVD set. So I think that alone is cause for celebration. Plus, we are getting films by celebrated filmmaker Eric Romer. And so with that, my friends, that is just a general overview of my thoughts on the set itself, Eric Romero's 6 Moral Tales. As I say, I will later on in this channel upload videos on each of the films themselves. So if you're interested, please stop by this channel anytime for further updates about that. But until we meet again, my friends, thank you very much for your time as always. And wherever you are in the world, please continue to be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Once again, be well, stay safe, and cheers.